winter is coming, and the nights are dark and full of puddles.
But not to worry, because with what I am driving today, AMG has got your back. Not only is this car winterproof, but it also does away with those negative winter emotions and puts a smile on your face. This is the new AMG C43, and I'm driving currently the Coupé version. And this is a new entry-level series to AMG, following on from the 45 series. That's looking to now increase volume, bring in younger buyers, and just have a more accessible product for a greater range of people. But with any new product, there's always an air of misconception or things that buyers don't quite understand about where this product sits. And perhaps in recent times, there is no product more confusing than the 43 series for potential buyers. A lot of people are going to assume, in fact most will assume, that this is a natural downgrade from a C63. But that is the furthest thing from the truth. This is not a C63 Lite, and it's not trying to be C63 Lite. The C43 is part of the AMG 4Matic series of cars, and 4Matic in Mercedes speak means four-wheel drive. So this drives nothing at all like the rear-wheel drive cars. No, instead, you should think of this more as something akin to the A45 or even a smaller brother to the E63S. And because it's not trying to be C63 Lite, that's what makes this car so exciting. And if you underestimate this car going up against it or driving it, you're in for a rude awakening. Because off the line, this car will pick up traction quicker than a C63S. And we did this in Remove Before Race episode 1, our pilot. And we did a drag race between the C43 Saloon, our one on the fleet, the C63S Cabriolet and my C63S wagon. And that drag race was won by the C43 easily, and it was wet conditions, and the car just tore through the C63s. What other basics can we cover on the C43? Well, the engine is a V6 coming from the Mercedes Blue Direct family, but it's been enhanced by AMG, so it puts out more horsepower and more torque, and the majority of its torque comes from the 2000 rev area, so it's really punchy down below. The braking system is also from AMG. You've also got the AMG Ride Control suspension, as you see in the 63 models with Comfort, Sport and Sport Plus. The exhaust system is of course the AMG Performance exhaust system. This one has the most important option, and that is the AMG Performance exhaust. It doesn't matter what it costs, you have to spec the Performance exhaust, be it a 43 or a 63. The difference is much, much greater in the 43, and you'll really feel it if you drive a car that doesn't have one and one that does. Because one that does have one will give you all sorts of exciting, lovely V6 sound, and it's really AMG sounding as well. When you start the car up, it sounds right. Now the design of the car is very much a sleeper. It looks like your standard Mercedes C-Class diesel. It doesn't share the same wide body as the Mercedes C63S Coupé or Cabriolet, which have extended arches on the front and the rear. But that's not a bad thing for the C43, whereas in the C63, you're always worried about the width of the car being too much for some areas. It also reminds me a lot of the old W204 C63 shape and size, and those multi-spokes help in that regard too. And it's nice to have a car that looks like a sleeper, but it has this crazy power, and we've had these reactions out of passengers who we've had in our own C43 thinking, oh, this is just a normal C saloon. But as soon as you get going, their mouths are left wide open as to what this car is. Inside is fairly standard C-Class stuff, so you've got black leather, you've got the red stitching denoting sportiness or whatever it might be. There's lashings of Dynamica as well. The dials here are proper AMG dials on the front. They've got white circles as opposed to the red ones you get in the 63s or the yellow ones you get in the Edition ones and the GTS. But they are proper AMG ones. You also get the AMG screen on front here, which gives you the oil temperatures, gear changes, what modes you're in, It even has the G meter, which is quite cool. You also get the race timer function for lap times and whatnot. So it does have those proper AMG appointments. You've also got individual mode, which is a little bit different to the 63s and the options you have. Again, this is more on the side of the options you get in the Mercedes cars, which is a shame because it sort of pulls you out of that AMG experience when you see things like aircon inside the individual settings, but you're lacking the exhaust on or off inside the individual. So if you want to have, for example, sport on, but you want the exhaust on, you can't put that in the individual mode. You have to manually put the exhaust button on it. Now moving on to the drive. The engine is great. It's got loads of power low down because of that torque being accessible in the low rev range, and it just keeps building and building, and you don't feel like you're lacking power. The best thing about this car is the one thing that you don't get in the C63S. It's that immediate grip and that super fast acceleration in low speeds, and it really just puts a smile on your face, and it makes you want to drive this car often. That's what it's all about. If you're going to have a great daily car, you really want to drive it, and this car does a great job of going in comfort and just being a normal Mercedes, which is sometimes what you need. But if you want to have fun, you flick the switch of the AMG drive unit, go into Sport Plus, and suddenly you've got something that is as good, if not better, than an A45, and will at least be neck and neck with a C63 off the line. What a brilliant car. Now the 4Matic system is biased to the rear, so it's got 67% going to the rear, 33% going to the front. But do you really feel that in daily driving? I don't think you do. And it's a good thing because this feels very much like the A45. It feels like a little brother to the E63. And those cars are phenomenally fun. Now we touched upon earlier on the suspension settings. You get the 3 AMG ride settings in here. But this is one issue that I have with the C43. It has quite a jarring ride. And I'm comparing this now to the C63, which is probably a little bit more comfortable than this. But the benefit you have is, it is quite tight and grippy through these corners. There's not much body roll. Yes, the steering does fade as you get into the corner, but look, this is not a full-blown 63 AMG. It's not meant to be a track car. It is, in essence, a great daily car, especially for this country. Now this car features the new 9-speed box from Mercedes, and it's a really good box. The gears change really fast, and unlike the old AMGs, I mean, you'd expect a 43 to have a sluggish box because that's what the old AMGs had, but that's not the case here. And this car does pretty good on fuel consumption if you're being sensible, but I have to admit, I get terrible MPG driving this car. So I'm always driving it dynamically because it's just so fun to drive it dynamically. And that's a great testament to this car. The sound. I do love the sound of this car. I'll tell you what. How good does Sport Plus sound? Just the pops and bangs. Now, currently I've been driving on another test we're doing, the new Audi RS5 Coupé, and that's also downgraded now to a V6 turbo engine. And I'll tell you something, that car, even with its performance exhaust, doesn't sound anywhere near as loud as this C43 does. That is how good this performance exhaust is. It sounds almost like a, I don't know, like a mini V12. Does it make sense? I tell you what, for me, and this really summarises this car, if I had a choice between this and the A45, I would take the C43. Now that performance exhaust option is so important. Bizarrely, it's been left out in the UK of the E43s and the GLCs and the GLEs, and you just think, why? Because this is what gives this car all that character. It's what makes it worth spending 45 odd grand. Now, in the price bracket that the E43 and the GLC 43 sit, you're going up against some really exciting cars. So they need that AMG edge of having the great exhaust sound in the background. There's a lot of engine snobbery about the V6 as well. Now people say, well, it's not one man, one engine. But you know what other car isn't one man, one engine either? The brand new AMG hypercar. So it's not the be all and end all of an AMG to have that one man, one engine philosophy. Yes, it's a great part of the overall heritage of AMG. But moving into the future, AMG are trying to show that they're more than just that part of their heritage, or just the sound, or just the V8s. There's another side to them, there's more layers, and it's coming through on cars like the 43 and the upcoming hypercar. And indeed, there's a 4-door AMG GT on the way, which is going to have a V8 engine theoretically paired with electric motors. So let go of the snobbery, open your mind and try one of these out. They are great fun. Go to MB Beaconsfield, say that we sent you, and I'm sure they will sort you out a test drive if you're interested in buying one. I guess my feelings would be summarised best by, if I had to have a daily car that was a performance C-Class and I needed it all year round for wet and snow and all the rest of it, this car is super fun and it does the job, and I might take this over the C63. In fact, I think I probably would. If I could only have one of them, I might take this over the C63. I would definitely take it over the A45. This is not AMG light, this is proper AMG fun. Well guys, thank you again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that review of the AMG C43 Coupé, and hopefully it's diminished some preconceptions that people have about the car and gave you some insight into what the 43 series is. So please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon. Next time on Remove Before Race, we test out the new Audi RS5 Coupé to see how much the new V6 engine has changed the car and the new purpose Audi has given it. Right, well, this is not outtakes per se, but it happened around about the same time that I was filming this. So the story begins like this. My E63S was off at Rock Studio for some Magno respraying, which is, we do AMG warranty work for Magno Finish because we're experts at the respray. Anyway, it came back, Chewy gave me the car, we met at South Mims motorway, so I'm on the motorway driving back, and I noticed people sort of pointing and looking at the car. Now I just first figured, fair enough, it's an E63, pretty normal. But then I get notifications on Instagram, I open it up, and I see this. Yep, he got me. He got me real good. So I keep making my way around the car now. Even in the sun visor. And he didn't even leave the sacred AMG engine alone. Nope. Sacrilege. Pure sacrilege. There will be revenge, and the reason I'm showing you guys is it will be on Remove Before Race, and you will see me get back at Gull for this.